Hello everyone, welcome back to Zero to Flutter. If you are a beginner and you are trying to learn how real mobile apps work, you are in the right place. On this channel, we are building Flutter skills step by step, from UI to navigation to state and now to real data from the internet. If you are following the beginner series, make sure you check the playlist. I'll pin it in the comment and also link in the description. And before we start, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into today's topic. Today we are going to learn how real API call works in Flutter. We will understand what an API is, how to add networking package, how to make API request, and how to show the data in our app. We will keep everything simple and beginner friendly and with no complex structure and no confusing patterns, just API to data and data to Flutter UI. Let's get into the APIs. Today we will use recipe API from dummy JSON. This API gives us the JSON data and our job is to fetch it in Flutter, convert it into Dart object and show it in the screen. So without further delay, let's quickly create a new Flutter project. For that, Ctrl Shift P, Flutter new project and application, and select the folder to create it. So we will name it recipe app. Let's search for the package to use. For that you need to go to pop.tab, and there are two popular options, HTTP and DO. Both are fine, but in this video I will be using DO. So we search for DO. So this one is the package we are going to use. Just copy the name, go to terminal and type flutter pub add and DO. So it adds the DO package in the PubSpec ML with the latest version. So go to our main.dart file. Let's clean this up. We don't need all of these stuffs. So I will remove this home page too. Create a new home page. We'll make it full home screen widget. Save it for now. So here import home screen. Let's go to dummy.json website and copy this URL. This is the actual endpoint that gives us the recipe output. So copy this, paste over there. You can use Postman to see the response, but it will work in the browser itself. So it gives us the JSON data. This data looks too big, but don't worry. So just copy everything. So we have two options to create the model for it. So what we can do is right click on the lib folder and JSON to Dart recipe model. We use JSON serializable for now. We don't need anything else. However, we need to string method, copy with method. So our next approach will be to use this website. It will be attached in the description below, and we will paste our JSON data here. Copy this, paste it, and we'll rename it to recipe model. We'll generate Dart files. So yeah, it creates from JSON and two JSON methods because that is necessary for us to parse the API calls. Create a new folder model, and inside the model create a new file, recipe model.dart. So I will change this. I will replace it with recipe model. So now let's create another folder and we name it services. So here we do the actual API call, create a new file, recipe service. So now we have our model ready and we need a place to write our API logic. This recipe service will be the file where we write our API logic. We don't write API logic inside the widget, so we create a separate service file. This keeps our code clean and readable. And this file's only job is to talk to the API endpoint and return the data. So let's create a class which is class recipe service. We need to initialize DO. So for that you can take the reference from this package website. So we can see we need to first initialize this do. So I'll copy this and use this here. So it is throwing error because we have not imported the actual package. So I imported the package. Now let's pay attention to this part because this is very important. What we usually do in a function is, let's say so we make a function to get recipes and we call this function from other places, so where it is required. But in case of API, the API calls take time and they are not instant. So in Dart we use async and await function. So this will be a async function and while actually calling the API we will use the await. So let's get into it. So we get response API response equal to await do dot. So basically our this API endpoint is get endpoint. So we will do do dot get and the path will be this JSON path. So and for now we'll just print the API response. So log imported from Dart developer and API response dot data dot to string. So basically to string converts any type of data type to string, so that can be printed. So let's run this app. In the meanwhile we'll go to this home screen and in the init state we will make the API call. That will be API so recipe service dot get recipes. Meanwhile let's get to this recipe service. This async means this function will take some time, and await means we will wait until the result come back. The return type will not be void, it will be future of void because we will be waiting for the data. So I will restart this app. So it is not printing anything because we have defined this function as async function, but we are not waiting for it to complete. So we cannot change the init state function to async because it is not suggested to do usually. So what we'll do is we'll remove this. We'll create another function get recipe data and we'll make it async function. Then it will await for our previous, and we will copy this and paste here. Restart the app. It did print something, so our endpoint is not the correct one. So this one was the endpoint. So go here and change this endpoint to the correct one. I will restart the app, and as you can see in the debug console, our whole API response is printed in the debug console. So it means our API call is success, but still we cannot use this in our app. For that we need to use the model we created earlier. So we need to change the return type also, and we will use the concept of try catch. So what try catch does is it tries to perform certain action, and if it gets some error it will catch it and throw. So we will copy this, we'll use try catch function. So we'll try this, we'll get to the catch part later. So we'll try this, and our return type will be future of the model we created earlier, that is this recipe model. So future of recipe model, we import this recipe service. We use recipe model dot from JSON, and our JSON will be JSON decode. So the source of our JSON will be some encoded data in the API response, which is API response data. And in the exception and in the catch field, we will do on do exception will catch error, and we will return empty recipe model. So return recipe model, that's it. Or better we can do is we can just throw error. Okay, and we'll log this error. So log error while calling for recipe API, and we'll print it as $e dot message. We can just print the message, or we can print the whole error. So we'll fix this issue. So what this function does is this will return the API response in form of a JSON. So we will go to this home screen now. So we added a return type, and we will instantiate. We will create a placeholder for the recipe model. So we create recipe model. We will initialize this. We will create this nullable. So, and while getting the recipe data, we will assign this recipe model as the recipe data. So recipe model equal to this recipe data, and we'll set this state, and we will again try and catch this. So we will wrap it with try and catch. So it will try to make this API call, and on exception we will just show a snack where scaffold messenger dot of context dot show snack bar. We'll use show snack bar, and snack bar will be a type of snack bar, and the content will be, let's keep this chemical and punch, and the text will be just $.toString. So let's quickly make some sort of UI. So we will return a scaffold, and a bar will be a bar title will be text and recipes, and the body will be single child scroll view of, and it will have a child column and children. Let's say for now text data, then we will have another floating action button, which is to floating action button for refresh, and on press it will get recipe data, and let's give icon to it, child, and child will have icons dot refresh. So this icon will work for us. So you can see we have the refresh icon, and ignore these warnings for now. So let's Let's test if this refresh button work. So now this is causing error because it is saying the type int is not subtype but double. Means the rating value we are getting is int and it is defined as double. But as you can see here, if you print this and search for rating, so rating is either the decimal value or the solid integer value. So we got that right. So this is a value, 5 is the integer, but in another we have 400. So we need to make something so that both double and int will be supported. For that we use num, and I'll restart the app. Yeah, there's no error. So let's get to this home screen. For now we will use the data from the API to create some to create a UI. So I will just make a list view that builder. So item count will be this recipe model dot recipes dot length. So it is throwing us error because this can be null. So for that we will use null check. This question mark is null check. Length, or if all of them are null we can give it 1, so it will be useful later. So in the return type we will return a container and we will have a decoration box decoration colors dot let's make this teal accent color, and we will have a child. So child will be the text value. For now we will just print index dot to string just to check just to make sure we are getting data. Again we get the error. So this is because we are using list view dot builder inside this infinite vertical space. So this single side scope view will create infinite vertical space. So we will need to use shrink wrap equal to true here, and it will not give us here. So let's restart that. So yeah, we are getting the data. So it is from 0 to 29. Yeah, we have 29 recipes. So up until here we have completed the API calls. So we have done everything for the API call, but we are not displaying the real data here. So for this we'll make a dummy UI based on the recipe data. So each recipe has name, ingredient, instructions, and cooking time, preparation time, all these stuff. So let's copy these stuffs because we will need it somewhere here. I will paste it here and I'll comment this because this is not exactly required, but we need to take it from here to make the actual UI. So what I'm trying to make is something like this. I'll make a square. It will have a name here and one image of the recipe here. We will have ingredients and time, cooking time and preparation time. That will be enough for now. So let's get here. For that we need to define a row because this is a row format. So make a row of children, and the children will be in column will also have a children. So we'll give text. It will be, so let's define a recipe here. So what we'll do is final recipe equal to recipe model dot index, recipe model dot recipes dot index. One thing I will do is, if so, let's run it right now. Let's fix this error. So make dummy text. So if I restart, it will throw me some error, because in the beginning this recipe model will be null. For that we will check if recipe model equal to null, then we will show center text loading, and this will be visible only if recipe model is not null. Recipe model not equal to null. So now this won't show us error. Yeah, when it is preloading, it shows the loading, and after it loads, it will show the UI. Our recipes will be used here. So recipes dot, I think it has the name parameter, and if it is null, we will show no name. Yeah, we are getting somewhere. Style theme of context dot text theme dot headline large. This will be way too much large, so body large. I think this will work for us right now. So I'll copy this, paste it over here. So it will be ingredients and recipe dot ingredients, and the style will be body small, because we need to fit a lot of ingredients. So this is giving us render flex overflow error. For this we need to wrap this column in expanded. Yeah, we don't have error right now. And the column we have manage element dot start, process element dot start, and we'll need to give some spacing between these widgets. So I'll go and change this list view dot builder to list view dot separated, and we'll have another separator builder, and separator builder will be just size box of height, let's say 4. That will work. Yeah, we get some spacing between our widgets, and yeah, you can see there is some scrolling issue. That is because this single side scroll view and this list view both want to scroll, so we need to give physics scroll physics. So physics will be never scrollable scroll physics, and yeah, it will be scrollable right now. We need to decrease this with values, and alpha will be 0.7 will be better, I guess. 0.4 0.4 will be better. So we will keep on copying this, and prep time will be recipes dot prep minutes, and cook minutes for cook time. We need to add another image. So image will be image dot network recipes dot image. If the recipe dot image is not equal to null, we show this image, and else we will show nothing. That is, size box dot string. So we need to define height and width to this image. So height will be let's say 30, and width will be 30. That it is way too small, so 60 by 60. I think this will work for us right now. Let's give some decoration to this container. So let's give this padding first, age insert dot all 8, and let's give some border to it. I mean border radius circular. Let's give this radius of 8. So 89 is way to be 8. Okay, and we think we need to give margin too. So margin will also be same as padding. Yeah. So now instead of fake static data, our API is using real data from internet. This means you now know how to build product list or user list or post or anything, and in this specific case you built a recipe list. So the next step will be just enhancing this UI. This is a big step because once you know API calls, you can connect Flutter to your backend or Firebase or any server in the world, and this is where the Flutter becomes powerful. If you want GitHub code for this project, comment #Flutter below and I will drop the repo link. And if you are following the beginner series, make sure you are watching in order. The playlist is linked in the pinned comment. That's it for today. Now you know what an API is, how to call it in Flutter, and how to show real data in your app. Like this video if it helped you, subscribe if you are learning Flutter step by step. This is Zero to Flutter. I'll see you in the next one.